Joining me now is one of the prominent Georgia activists who boycotted Biden, LaTosha Brown, co-founder of the Black Voters Matter Fund. Thanks so much for coming back on the show tonight. LaTosha, let me begin by asking you, what did you want the president to do today instead of coming to Atlanta to give that speech?
Thank you. First of all, thank you for having me here. You know, what I think I, along with other activists, were saying is that this was a moment, this is a critical time around what we're talking about in voting rights, that perhaps what we wanted to see is we want to see action, that we have been talking about this, we've been begging, we've been organizing, we've been to the White House, we've gone to the Senate, we've been to the House, we've asked repeatedly, you know, that we would not be at the space that we're in right now, you know, and that we wanted to really for the president to put action behind that. And so, you know, the good news is, in terms of moving forward, is that we saw some change. You're right, movement does work. In many ways, it was movement that laid the foundation of the speech today, that we asked for a consideration of carve out with the filibuster. And as you showed, that there was resistance to that. You know, but where we are now, we think that it is critical that we're beyond the speeches. We wanted to send a message. Our goal wasn't to be antagonistic or to in any way to the president. We want him to be successful. You know, however, what we wanted to do is to show how serious we are around voting rights. At this point, we need actions more than words.
So my colleague Jonathan Capehart over at MSNBC, who you know, writing in the Post, says you and your fellow activists have got the wrong target and the wrong tack. He says Biden is neither an empowered king nor an autocrat. What is your response to him? Jonathan Capehart is somebody who I consider, I think he's wonderful, but I think he's absolutely wrong on this. The bottom line is the same people are saying, what could Biden do, are the same people that give LBJ credit for the civil rights legislation. Does he believe that LBJ had anything to do with the passing of voting rights and civil rights legislation? He too was the president, right? The bottom line is we know we are politically sophisticated enough to know that the president has an enormous amount of power from the bully pulpit to be able to put political pressure and also to stand in line and build momentum around, as he did today. The speech that he did today, I actually thought he did a good speech today. I think the elements of the speech that he had in today were things that we've been asking for over the last 10 months. I'm glad that he is now there. That is what we've been asking for. And so we need action to make sure that we pass this voting rights legislation at this moment. You mentioned LBJ, and I've made the LBJ analogy on this show as well. Critics would say it's not fair to compare to LBJ because he had huge majorities in Congress. Joe Biden is facing a 50-50 Senate and his own party's senators standing up to him. And on that note, I just want to play you something the president said today about Strom Thurmond, the late GOP senator. Have a listen to what he said.
Strom Thurmond voted to extend the Voting Rights Act. Strom Thurmond. You can say that again. Wow. You have no idea how darn hard I worked on that one.
I wonder if that line about how hard he worked with Strom Thurmond, is that what you're pointing towards? You would like to see him work harder in winning over Manchin and Sinema than he already has?
Yeah, let me say this. Yeah, are we saying that Manchin is a stronger person to move than Strom Thurmond? You know, even when you're looking at power, is that what we're saying? You know, are we saying that what we have been saying from day one, and I'm glad that the president is finally there, is that we needed a strong voice, that certainly that even the protests that were happening, that the people were calling for this, that wasn't enough. We needed the full weight of the White House to actually put pressure on these senators and to rally them to say that we needed voting rights legislation, right? And so I think that, one, he acknowledged that. I think he admitted that. In his own speech, he admitted that he had been silent and that this was a moment that he would no longer be silent. And I think that takes a lot of courage. Let me say to him, for credit for him, I think that it takes a lot of courage to really be able to acknowledge and to admit that, quite frankly, that you have not done everything that you could in the power that you have to really be able to prioritize voting rights. But the moment that we're in right now, you know, are we saying, I think that it says a lot of things, not about what we have to do now in the interim around getting voting rights legislation passed, but we've got to look at the full political structure in this country. The fact that if we're looking at a Senate, the body that is not representative of the majority of Americans in this country, and you can have one or two senators to hold up the wheel of millions of people, then there's something fundamentally wrong with that system.
Yeah. And a senator from West Virginia, a state that doesn't have that many people in it, especially black people. Last quick question. You didn't go to the speech today. You said you still support the president. What are relations like now between the White House and activists on the ground?
we never, our relations were never about contention. This, in a democracy, accountability is part of the process. Part of the process is actually holding those that you put in office accountable. And so that's who we are. We want the president to be successful, but we want to make sure that we are securing voting rights because we need that for our community, and we need that to make sure we have a strong democracy.
Well said. LaTosha Brown, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you for your time tonight. Appreciate it.